Hello, friends. So good to be with you today. We are in Revelation chapter 15. Such an interesting chapter, very short, but it's got some things in here that are certainly worth looking at. Chapter 15 is actually a bit of a preview of some of the things that's going to come in chapter 16, which are going to be pretty intense. But here, John is writing what he sees in heaven. All of these events that you're going to hear about here in this 15th chapter is actually taking place in heaven. So let me just go ahead. We'll start here with chapter 15 and verse 1. He said, I saw in heaven another great marvelous sign. Now he's going to describe it here. 7 angels with 7 last plagues. And last because with them God's wrath is complete. Okay, I broke that up there too much there. Let me quickly run through that again. I saw in heaven another great and marvelous sign, 7 angels with the 7 last plagues. Last because with them God's wrath is complete. Now this is really interesting because the number 7 is used 8 times in chapter 15. And 7 has always meant completion. It's always meant perfection. There are 7 colors in the rainbow in the spectrum of music. There's 7 notes in an octave. There's just 7 is a number of completion. And these are the last plagues. And it says everything, when this is done, everything, speaking of the wrath of God, is going to be complete. Now, the word complete is the same word that Jesus used in John chapter 19, where he said, it is finished. It's done. It's finished. And the wrath at that point is complete. Now, if I could pause for just a second to just remind you of something that I've said to you earlier, I think this is very important. And that is the fact that the wrath of God is not because he's angry with all the people on the earth. That's just simply not the case. That's not the point of the wrath being poured out. It isn't because, geez, that's a really bad group of people. I promise you, if you want to just take a little comparison of history, you're going to find people throughout history that were wretched beyond words. It's incredible some of the horrible things that were carried out, the atrocities that were carried out throughout history. So these people were not any worse. But the fact is that the wrath of God that is being poured out is not because of these people. He's not angry with them. His wrath is reaching literally into the depths of Satan's dominion and literally crushing every aspect of his authority. That's the reason for the wrath being poured out. I take you back to, Revelation chapter 5, where it said that the Lamb took the scroll out of the hand. Well, what was the scroll? Well, that was the title deed to the earth. That was the thing that represented everything that had to do with Satan's dominion. And so he would break the seals, open it, break the seals, and pour out his wrath. And it was on the dominion of Satan. And unfortunately, yes, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to suffer there. The people who won't turn away from Satan, they're going to fall under the same judgment that's been meted out against him. But the original intention was not against the people. The Bible even said that very clearly. Jesus said that. It's not his will that any perish. That's not his will. So the whole focus of this time season, the whole focus of this time frame of the Great Tribulation period is pouring out his wrath on every aspect of Satan's dominion and breaking it. He's crushing it. He's grinding it to powder, and there's not going to be anything left of him and his authority and his dominion. You might say, what authority are you talking about? Well, you can clearly see that when Jesus was being tempted by the devil. Remember, Satan said to him, all these things have been given to me. If you'll follow and worship me, all these things have been given to me, and I will give them to you or to anyone that I wish. Well, where did he get that? Well, he usurped that from Adam. And so that authority that he had was very far-reaching. Paul called him the God of this world, the prince of the power of the air. I mean, we see great dominion that he's walked in as a result of that. And so that's what the whole tribulation period is doing. It's crushing it. It's literally obliterating the whole dominion of Satan, okay? Now, verse 2, he said, and I saw what looked like, now he didn't say it was, but he said it looked like a sea of glass, glowing with fire, and standing beside the sea, those who had been victorious over the beast and his image and over the number of his name, and they held harps given to them by God. Now, this is not referring to a body of water. That's always referring to. Rather, it's a sea of humanity. Every time that the Bible says anything concerning a sea, it's always referring to humanity. And so he said, I saw what looked like a sea of glass glowing with fire. That's judgment. Fire is judgment. It's glowing with that. And said, standing beside the sea, those that had been martyred during the tribulation period. And he said, who had been victorious over the beast and its image and over the number of his name, and they held harps given them by God. Now, that's just so fun to me to even think about. I mean, I can just see God just passing out the harps. You know, you and you and you. Well, let me see. Got one for you. Got one for you. And we're just passing out harps. What? Because they're about to sing. Singing and music is precious to God. It's so important to God. And it said they sang a song of God's servant Moses and the Lamb. So here was a song that was written, co-written between Moses and between Jesus. Now, you might say that seems odd, but see, there's two places recorded where Moses actually sang songs that he had written. One was Exodus chapter 15, and the other one Deuteronomy chapter 32. And this is a wonderful blend, if you will look at it, of law and of grace being meted together in this beautiful work. And it talks about three things. This song that he's got right here, it talks about three things: the works of God, the ways of God, and the worth of God. Listen to this song. Let me just, I'm not going to sing it to you if that's all right, because I really don't know the melody to the thing, but I will read it to you. It says, great and marvelous are your deeds, your works, Lord God Almighty. Just and true are your ways, King of the nations. Who will not fear you, Lord, and bring glory to your name? For you alone are holy. All nations will come before you and worship you, for your righteous acts have been revealed. Now see, that's the song. And they're going to sing that. They're going to sing this, and this is something that Moses and the Lamb both wrote together. They co-wrote this thing together. Now, verse 5 said, and after this I looked, and he said, I saw in heaven a temple, that is, the temple of the covenant law, and it was opened. And out of the temple came 7 angels with 7 plagues. They were dressed in clean, shining linen, and they wore golden sashes around their chests. Now, these angels here are being dispatched, basically, by God. And they're coming out of the temple, and it's a place of holiness to distribute these plagues upon the earth. So they're about to take off with that. And now here's what happened in verse 7. It says, and one of the 4 living creatures came to the 7 angels, gave to the 7 angels 7 golden bowls filled with the wrath of God, who lives forever and ever. Now, put a pin in that right there. Okay? Back in chapter 7, we were introduced to these 4 living creatures. They were unique angelic beings, very unique, kind of a different order. I think that's the only way I know how to put that. And they were around the throne of God. And now they've been entrusted to give these golden bowls to these 7 angels and to assign them the task of pouring out the full wrath of God. Wow. And these golden bowls are probably, I don't know, the golden incense bowls familiar to the priests that used them in the temple. And so he said here, and the temple was filled, verse 8, the temple was filled with smoke from the glory of God and his power. And I love this. It said, and no one could enter the temple until the 7 plagues of the 7 angels were completed. That's going to be how powerful, how totally powerful it is. Now, all of these things have taken place in heaven. This is what John is seeing in heaven. And so what we're going to see in the next chapter of all these wonderful things, now he's going to turn his focus to what's going to happen on the earth. It's going to be very powerful for you. So that there is chapter 15. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's very short, but it's really powerful. Some of the things that are in there are just really worth spending some time in meditation. If you would not mind, if you would share this with somebody, maybe you know someone who just has an interest in the end time, and I think this will help settle them. Listen, I don't want you to be afraid of this. The book of Revelation was not designed for you to be afraid of. The Bible said there in the very first chapter, two things. It said, number one, it is a revelation of Jesus Christ. It's not a revelation of the Antichrist. It's not a revelation of Satan. It's a revelation of Jesus Christ. And it said, blessed are those who read this prophecy. So you're going to be blessed. I'm just telling you, you're going to be blessed, and you're going to be lifted up, and you're going to be strengthened because of your partaking of this prophecy and applying your life. So you might know some friends that need to have this, and I think it'll be a blessing to them. If you'd like some more information, I've got a whole bunch more stuff that you can go to and look at. Go to my website, jerryedmond.com, and you can click on, it'll just give you a lot of resources there. All right? Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for your friendship. I know I always say that, but I truly mean that. It's very important to me that I get an opportunity to be a part of your life and you be a part of my life. So I love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being my friend. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next chapter. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.